Ever since she was a child, Annie had a dream. She would somehow end up in another world. But after a fatal truck accident, she actually woke up in the world she'd written in her own novel. The catch? She wasn't the heroine of her story. Instead, she was stuck in the body of the manipulative younger sister, the one who was destined to die. And right after she arrived, she found herself locked in a dungeon for attempting to assassinate her sister. To her surprise, her sister wasn't angry. In fact, she was the perfect angelic character that Annie had created, and she forgave her, even wanting to bring her home. However, the brother-in-law didn't approve. Annie's character had poisoned her sister multiple times, and spread vile rumors about her. Annie immediately regretted making her younger sister so dark and calculating. If she'd known, she would have toned it down. But thanks to her sister's plea, Annie's death sentence was reduced to 3 months of reflection. Annie vaguely remembered this part of the plot. In her novel, she was killed by the butler. This butler had been saved by her sister in childhood, and had loved her ever since. Now, he was plotting her sister's death, and he wouldn't hesitate to kill her. Annie had to be careful. But the butler was handsome, and strangely enough, he was the one responsible for her care, her meals, lodging, everything. Even though he was attractive, Annie knew she couldn't let her guard down. She had to be ready for an assassination at any moment. Desperate to avoid being killed, Annie decided to act like she had truly repented. She wrote a letter to her sister, confessing all her sins and apologizing repeatedly, hoping to show the butler she was truly changing. But her brother-in-law didn't believe it. After all, they all knew Annie wasn't that simple. Even the tiniest hint of killing intent from the butler, Annie would pick up on instantly. Her instincts were sharp, and that made her dangerous. When the butler returned, he explained that her sister and uncle were away, so the letter hadn't been delivered yet. Annie remembered the uncle. He was the real villain. He had once secretly admired her sister's mother and had never gotten over it. Now, he was fixated on her sister, because she resembled her mother. He pretended to support the romance between her sister and her sister's fiancé, but deep down, he wanted to hurt her. His obsession grew to the point that he planned to trap them both in a small house, with intentions of harming her sister. This would be the moment her sister's magic powers exploded, saving herself and her fiancé. Annie, however, was locked away and unable to help. Still, knowing her sister had once saved her, Annie couldn't stand to see her hurt. So, one night, Annie rode as fast as she could to the small house, racing against time. Meanwhile, her uncle had already led her sister and her fiancé to the house, preparing for a makeshift wedding ceremony. But he reminded the fiancé, "Don't bring your sword into the ceremony." The wedding was supposed to be a simple, sacred affair, but as they were about to proceed, Annie's uncle pulled out a knife and attacked her sister's fiancé. In that critical moment, Annie burst into the house, shocking everyone by saving them. Her sister's fiancé was stunned, and Annie urged them to escape quickly. "Your wedding is important, but my sister is about to begin a new chapter of happiness. Please, go." Just as things seemed hopeless, the butler appeared, and he swiftly protected Annie. It turned out that while Annie was on her way to the house, the butler had secretly been following her, ready to intervene when needed.